We start from the Upper West region, where New Patriotic Party members who caused the suspension of the regional minister have been remanded into prison custody by a Wa Circuit Court to reappear on February 9. The five, Nuhu Suglio, Seydou Salifu, Osman Jamal Abdullahi, Hakim and Benganim Winnie Isahaku, have been charged with 4 counts of conspiracy to commit a crime and threat of harm, assault and stealing. They were arrested by the police for storming the office of the Upper West Region National Disaster Management Organization and allegedly assaulting some persons there. Joy News' Upper West Regional correspondent Rafiq Salam sat through court proceedings and has sent this report.
Prosecuting Chief Inspector Daniel Yebo named the 5 accused persons at the court as Ismail Kamal, Bongamuni Isaku, Salifu Seydou Adnan, Abdullahi Hakim and Suglo Nuhu. Their ages ranges between 27 and 45. He told the court that on Wednesday, January 31, the accused persons together with others from the Bari electoral area stormed the office of the Upper West National Coordinator Isaac Seydou, who is the first complainant in the case, to ask him why they have not conducted their electoral area polling station election. On reaching the Upper West Regional Coordinating Council, where the NADMO office is located, the accused persons became aggressive and were threatening to attack the first complainant. Kamal Ismail then entered the corridor of the Upper West NADMO office and wanted to proceed to the office of Isaac Seydou, but he was prevented from entering by his personal assistant. Chief Inspector Daniel Yebo disclosed that all the 5 suspected thugs gang up to be the personal assistant, tearing his clothes in the process. The NADMO boss, fearing for his life, quickly called the police on phone for assistance. The police rushed to the scene and met Kamal Ismail and Bongangun Isaku in the act at the entrance of Isaac Seydou, still trying to force the gate open to get to their prime target.
In a related development, minority members of Parliament have been advised to challenge the President's suspension of the Upper West Regional Minister Suleiman Al-Hassan in court if they so desire. This is coming from the first Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Joseph Osewusu, who presided over parliamentary proceedings on Friday. The issue was raised in Parliament, with some MPs seeking an intervention from the House, but the Speaker turned down the request. The House has meanwhile officially confirmed that President Akufo-Addo will deliver his second State of the Nation address on February 9. There is more on Friday's parliamentary proceedings in the following report.
Proceedings, as usual, commenced with correction of minutes by members of Parliament. Some MPs then posed questions to the Roads Minister Kwesi Amakwata on the state of their roads. He in turn assured them government is mobilizing funds to fix such roads.
I can assure you, Honourable Member, and this Honourable House, that the government is working very hard to find the funding to initiate the construction of all the arterial roads, so that JACS funds will be released. So I believe that even though it's scheduled for October this year, we are trying to work hard to bring it forward.
Deputy Majority Chief Whip Kwesi Amaya-Treme then read the business statement for the week starting February 5 and the date for President Akufo-Addo's State of the Nation address.
Motions may be debated and their consequential resolutions, if any, taken during the week. Right Honourable Speaker, His Excellency, the President of the Republic, is expected to deliver a message on the state of the nation on Thursday, 8 February 2018, in accordance with Article 67 of the Constitution. Honourable members are entreated to be punctual for the event. Honourable members are therefore urged to be in the chamber latest by 9:15 a.m. as it may not be courteous for members to enter or exit the chamber after His Excellency the President has entered.
The suspension of the Upper West Regional Minister by President Akufo-Addo was of concern to the minority. Boko Central MP Mahama Ayariga described it as unconstitutional.
If you look at our constitution, Article 81, which deals with the ways that a minister can be dealt with, clearly you can see that minister may exit office by resignation, by the termination of the appointment by the president, in the unfortunate event of death. And the other way in which a minister can be dealt with is by a vote of censure by this House. So, Speaker, those are the known mechanisms that we can use to deal with a minister. So, Speaker, the exercise of the function of suspending a minister and then now investigating to find out what the facts really are is a strange phenomenon. It's not known to our constitution, very alien to our constitution. A ministerial portfolio is not a civil office of government. We know the civil service, and it is those ones that constitute the civil office of government. And so you cannot use this provision of the constitution to further the exercise of this power, especially when the constitution itself is very express in the way that you can deal with a minister of state.
But First Deputy Speaker Joe Osei-Wusu dismissed the concern and advised them to seek redress elsewhere if they believe the president acted beyond his powers.
My view is that the power to appoint includes the power to suspend, dismiss, and so the president is within his power. If anybody thinks or is satisfied that the president is acting out of the constitution, the person knows the appropriate rules to use. Otherwise, it's well within his power to suspend any appointee of his.
Joy News is learning the minority members are yet to decide the next line of action on the matter.
You're still watching Joy News Prime. We're taking a break. Still ahead, the minority in Parliament has accused the Ministry of Trade and Industry of engaging in serious ethical violations in the Cash for Seed saga. We have details when we return. You're welcome back. Now, the minority in Parliament has accused the Ministry of Trade and Industry of engaging in serious ethical violations when it backed the collection of monies from expatriate businesses for the benefit of a private non-profit organization. In a report containing dissenting views on the investigations into the Cash for Seed saga, the minority said there was enough evidence to show that the Trades Ministry was complicit in the matter and that the president of the Millennium Excellence Foundation, Ashim Morton, forged documents to cover up the act. The minority report cited by Joy News is authored by Member of Parliament for Bolgatanga East, Dominic Ayine, one of two minority MPs on the 5-member committee established by the Speaker to probe the matter. It comes even as a report of the entire committee was presented to Parliament on Friday, and even before its findings are made public. Dominic Ayine, in an interview with Joy FM, explained the minority's report, which he hopes will be factored into the final report. He says it's an attempt to balance the committee's work.
Until Wednesday in the afternoon, when I was surprised with a document, a draft report that had been authored by the chairman of the committee. And, you know, we had done lunch and we're going to go back to the summary of the evidence and to complete that before we start the writing of the report. When he gave me this document, my initial reading of the document showed that they were basically walking down the road of, you know, total exoneration of the ministry, of the Millennium Excellence Foundation, and so on. So I was surprised because that was against the grain of the evidence that, you know, we had heard, and there was live coverage. So Ghanaians saw some of the things that were said and there's some of the documents that were tendered. So I took my time and then went to my private office, sat down and then read everything and decided that I will respond to it. So I spent that evening trying to respond to it. Well, he was seeking to lay a report for the committee. The Dabu report was a report that I had not made an input. Honorable James Kluchi Abeje had not made an input because he's even out of the country. So I was here working and communicating with him regarding our side of the story. So I was simply trying to table a written report for the consideration of the other members of the committee. He never allowed me to do that.
So joining me now in the studio is Malik Dabu of our political desk here at Joy News and editor of myjoyonline.com. Malik, hello, good evening to you. So it seems the minority is very keen on making their position on this matter known. So what else is contained in the report?
Okay, so you're talking about the minority being keen. This is not novel. It happens all the time. And I was telling you about Nana Hinintu submitting a similar minority report when the MPP conducted investigations into allegations that they opened some accounts outside the rest of the executive. So the majority submitted a report, Nana Hinintu submitted a minority report. So this is, it's permissible, is allowed even in the courts, it happens. Now,
but it was expected, wasn't it, given the concerns that they had raised during
It absolutely was. And if you followed the proceedings, you would have realized that the manner in which the minority members asked their questions were fundamentally and radically different from the manner in which the majority members of the committee asked their questions. So it was obvious from day one that they were going to give you conflicting reports on this matter. Now, if you look at some of the companies that paid, very interesting. You know, Sunon Asogli paid some money, HFC Bank, NIIT, a lot of them made payments. The total amount of money that was paid was 2,667,000 Ghana cedis was paid. And you know that there was a memorandum of understanding that the Ministry of Trade will keep 10% of this money. And when they took out the 10%, the amount that was given to the Millennium Excellence Foundation was 2,367,000 that was given. Now, one of the fundamental points that the minority report raises is possible deceit. And they said that if you look at the proposal that was submitted on the basis of which the Ministry of Trade wrote to the companies asking them to support this project, there was an agreement that all the companies will submit details about their businesses and what they do to KPMG to select them on the basis of a certain set criteria so that awards will be given. The minority report points out that some of the companies did not submit anything at all, and yet they were selected and given awards. And their point is this is a clear deceit of public institution, because if you say that you are going to, on the basis of set criteria, give awards, and people don't submit anything, how do you make a determination that they qualify or have met the criteria that you yourself set, which forms the basis upon which you select a winner, and then call people and tell them that they have won? In fact, the case being made by this report is that it was the chairman and president of the Millennium Excellence Foundation, Ashim Morton himself, who called some of the companies and told them that they had won awards and that they should support the program and come and pick their awards. So on the basis of that, they said there was possible deceit. They also raised questions about lack of transparency in the expenditure of the Millennium Excellence Foundation. They say,
but before we get to that point, let me just read a few details of what the minority said with respect to Mr. Ashim Morton. You know, they had earlier accused him of
forging some documents to back the claims that he had made.
Exactly. So basically what they're saying is that notwithstanding the denials to the contrary, there's evidence on record to the effect that in its initial conception, the event had the President of the Republic, that is Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, as the center of attraction, and that payment for seats bore a direct relationship to the distance of the payer seat from the President's high table. Furthermore, the evidence shows clearly that Mr. Ashim Morton forged documents in a desperate attempt to cover up
now, let me explain why this arose. You remember that when we started doing this story, the original story was that the proximity to the president was used as a basis to charge a lot more. This was denied. Ashim Morton's explanation was that when they designed the packages which they sent to the companies, the presidential table, presidential in that context, was referring to him as and not the president of the Republic of Ghana. When he appeared before the committee, Dr. Dominic Ayine, who authored this statement, this minority report, asked him about that. He insisted that the presidential table presidential here was referring to him and not the President of the Republic of Ghana. Then Dr. Ayine asked him, now, when you look at your document, there is ministerial table. If you say that presidential was not referring to the President of the Republic of Ghana, how do you explain ministerial table? Then Ashim Morton said, on the documents that he has, a proposal that they submitted to the companies, there was nothing like ministerial table. His argument was that what the Honorable Member of Parliament for Bolga East was referring to was a doctored document. Then he was asked to submit a document. I'm sure it is that document that was submitted minus the ministerial table to conform with his testimony before the committee. Exactly. This is why they are accusing him of forgery. Okay. The minority members are accusing him of forgery.
Let's now focus on what you're talking about earlier, the transparency, lack of transparency.
Yes, so they raised questions about the... so the money was given to the Millennium Excellence Foundation to organize this award. The committee, the minority members of the committee are of the view that the manner in which Millennium Excellence Foundation spent this money was itself not transparent enough. Remember that when they appeared before the committee, they asked them to provide proof of receipt of the money and how they spent it. The committee says they were not satisfied with the answers they were given, and they think that there was lack of transparency in the manner that the money was expended.
All right. Malik Dabu is editor of myjoyonline.com and a member of Joy News' political desk. Many thanks, Malik. Now, government says it has created more than 700,000 jobs through its Planting for Food and Jobs program. Food and Agriculture Minister Dr. Owusu-Efiri Akoto, who announced this, said targets that were set were met, adding that government is on track to expand the program with 500,000 farmers. The initiative, launched in April last year, forms part of government's program to make the country food sufficient, generate income from agriculture, and create jobs to address rural-urban migration. Addressing a news conference in Accra on Friday, Dr. Owusu-Efiri Akoto said government invested 400 million cedis in the program, targeting 200,000 farmers. He also described as cynical critics of the program.
We're able to generate in the rural areas 1.2 billion Ghana cedis. That is how massive this intervention has been. You spend 400 million and you get 1.2 billion. That is the net amount generated for the agricultural economy of this country by PFJ. And that is very significant by any measure. So those who have been sitting on radio saying all kinds of things about our program, this is the basis of the figures, and they are not lies, as some of them have been accusing me, and they are not plucked from the skies, but these are based on physical figures that we have compiled based on what the resources that we have distributed and the resources generated in terms of crops, marketing, and so on. That is how we have come with 745,000 jobs.
Well, he also gave a breakdown of the over 700,000 jobs created by the Planting for Food and Jobs program.
715,000 jobs were created in the informal sector and in the rural areas of the economy. That is a contribution of PFJ to employment generation in the rural areas. Outside the farm, of course, jobs were also created by handling, marketing, and so on of the additional produce. And these areas for job creation were input distribution and application of the fertilizers that generated jobs, post-harvest handling of produce that generated jobs, primary processing and transportation that created jobs, handling and warehousing and marketing. These other activities together generated another 27,000 jobs in the informal sector. The formal sector, that is extension services, farmer registration, all these people going around registering farmers for the program, and then the extension services that were engaged, the additional hiring of extension officers and so on, also created another 3,000 jobs. Hence, total number of jobs created under PFJ campaign in 2017 was 745,000 jobs.
You're still watching Joy News Prime. I'm Araba Kumson. We're taking a short break. We have business up next and more stories. You're welcome back. It's time for business, and Emmanuel Abuajiriafi joins me in the studio. And you know, earlier we played a sound of the Agric Minister talking about how many jobs were created, you know, through the Planting for Food and Jobs program. Now, we do know that you'll be tackling something related in business.
Global rankings in agriculture of various countries, and Ghana has performed rather poorly in these rankings, especially by way of agribusiness and how we manufacture and provide agribusiness opportunities for the country.
Okay, all right. Give us the details.
All right, thank you very much, Araba. And good evening. Thank you for joining me on Business. Head of Economics Department of the University of Ghana, Professor Peter Quartey, is urging government to undertake a full overhaul of all agencies involved in the regulation of mining activities in the country. This, he said, will ensure activities of illegal miners are not tolerated. Government has hinted of plans to lift the ban on small-scale mining and review some regulations in the sector. This is in a bid to minimize the negative impact of the activity on the environment. In an exclusive interview with Joy Business on this development, Professor Peter Quartey, an economist, welcomes the idea, but thinks the existing agencies need refreshing.
Yes, it would. The small-scale mining companies or mining institutions do require a lot of money. That is to properly regulate them. Small-scale mining is not a bad thing. You them. What we have to do is to regulate them, make sure that they mine according to the rules. They mine with the environment in mind. They mine and make sure they don't destroy crops. I have spent quite a couple of weeks in mining areas trying to investigate the effects of mining, and it's amazing how we are destroying our water bodies. It's amazing how we river banks. It's amazing how people have dug under high tension poles. It's just ridiculous. So I think, yes, let's do small scale mining. The ban can be lifted, but we should ensure that the monitoring mechanisms are there. If we are going to rely on the already corrupt chain of supervisory networks that we have without any change, then we'll be back to where we started.
You think there should be a total overhaul?
Yes, certainly. The district assemblies, the security forces, and the like. I mean, it's common knowledge that even when they're coming for a soup, they know. The mining, illegal miners, they know they're coming. They have bought the chain, and they know. So nothing works. But I hope now with all what we have gone through, with the task force and everything, this has changed, and we are going to see a better way of monitoring mining activities.
Now, the State Power Generator, VRA, has assured in a statement released on Friday their operations will not be affected despite the shutdown of the Jubilee FPSO Kwame Nkrumah and their Turbo Gas Processing Plant. George Rafe has more in this report.
The statement indicated the Abuaze Power Enclave, which is one of the major infrastructure in the western region that depends heavily on gas from the Atuabo plant, would not be affected. The VRA in the statement added it has in place the necessary contingency measures to avert supply deficit that would have occurred in the enclave during this period. The state power generating firm says they will operate 2 turbines on light crude in the combined cycle mode to generate up to 300 megawatts of power from the Abuaze to support the system. In addition, VRA will receive on demand up to 200 megawatts of power from Ivory Coast to complement generation in Ghana. VRA concludes in a statement by assuring customers that all its facilities, that is hydro, thermal, solar are operating at optimum capacity. Deputy Minister of Energy Dr. Mohammed Amin Adam, in an interview with Joy Business, noted government has made available the required funds for purchases of fuel to support the operations of the power companies.
Since the MPP came into government, we haven't had shortage of power resulting from lack of fuel. You know, if you have shortage of power because you have no fuel, and it is not attributed to a shutdown, for instance, of the FPSO or of the processing plant, then there is no financial problem for that matter. And therefore, the fact that we haven't faced that problem should assure you that government is committed to providing all the money required to ensure that we have enough fuel to fire our plants.
And also the argument about the fact that allowing these two critical infrastructures to shut down, one would say, couldn't we have had an arrangement where that the Jubilee would go down FPSO when they are done, and then Atuabo also goes down? Having these two going down at the same time could come as a huge cost to you.
No, that's rather good for us, because if Jubilee shuts down and Atuabo is allowed to operate, how will they operate? Because they're supposed to process gas from Jubilee. And therefore, if Jubilee shuts down, there will still not be gas, because Atuabo will be idling. And therefore, it was important to box the two maintenance schedules together around the same time. Otherwise, you will have prolonged shutdown. Jubilee is shut down, Atuabo is not working, and when Jubilee comes back, then Atuabo also shut down. There is gas, but there is no processing plant to process it. Then you will have over 30 to 40 days of shutdown. And that's rather problematic. And therefore, what we have tried to do is to ensure that they both do the maintenance around the same time.
The Jubilee shutdown, which started from yesterday, will last for about 3 weeks, and is the first round of other 2 shutdowns that would happen this year. According to the partners, it is meant to carry out some works on the equipment used to extract crude from the seabed, whilst the Atuabo plant is used to process gas from the Jubilee fields, will be shut down for 25 days.
Now, the country may have to do more when it comes to improving the environment for agribusiness. The latest World Bank report highlights how regulatory activities are impacting the agricultural sector. The following Business Desk report has more.
The report shows that with the exception of finance, where the country was ranked 16th out of 62 countries, which can be described as above average, Ghana performed poorly in 7 other areas. In the area of finance, the report revealed that the regulatory environment was quite good for firms in the sector to secure the required funding, as well as an efficient warehousing system. However, when it came to seed, fertilizer, markets and transportation, Ghana's score was not even above the global average. For instance, for measurable indicators like seed, which looks at the provision of seed for farmers, the country was ranked 48 out of 62 countries. On transportation, which considers the movement of farm produce, the country was ranked 59 out of the 62 countries. According to the World Bank, the aim of this report is to promote smart regulations that ensure safety and quality control, as well as efficient regulatory processes that support thriving agribusinesses.
Now, prices of foodstuffs are said to have marginally shot up in some selected markets across the country. This is what some traders and buyers at the Kaneshie and Malamata markets here in Accra are saying. According to them, prices of basic staples like rice and yam have increased significantly compared with the same period last year. Charles Aiti has been assessing the situation and has come through with this report.
It's the second month of the year. We're currently in February, and just on the minds of various Ghanaians is the issue of whether or not the prices of foodstuffs on the market have increased, decreased or stabilized.
You may need to consider doubling your budget for some foodstuffs on the market. This is because traders here tell Joy Business the cost of basic staples have increased as compared to last year. Aisha is a trader who deals in the sale of yams. She tells Joy Business that the cost of 3 tubers of yam, which stood at 8 cedis in 2017, now goes for between 10 and 18 cedis this year.
In August 2017, 3 tubers of yam were being sold at 10 cedis. But now, you'll get those same 3 tubers of yam for between 15 to 18 cedis.
No, Benny Ebe here, 4 10 cedis. She be an about 12 cedis.
The case with maize was no exception, as traders say the price for a bag has doubled compared to last year. Ma, Lizzie and Faustina are both traders who engage in the maize business for 20 years. They tell Joy Business the main staple continued to be faced with several challenges.
Oh, I feel no been was shock when you was say.
The price of maize has shot up unimaginably. Our customers are even shying away from buying them. Last year, by this time, a bag of maize was going for 150 cedis. But this year, a bag is going for 220 cedis.
2.2 and you are hauling.
A bawana dienche. Nicolo Hune Babelia, Mehana Belia, a fatahi Nijala, a wa. You are quite.
The invasion of weevils has affected the price of maize. It's now scarce. We have to travel as far as Niger to buy maize.
A cup of white beans is being sold at 4 cedis as compared to 3 cedis, while a small bucket of tomatoes is going for 7 cedis as compared to 6 cedis last year. One bowl of gari goes for 5 cedis as compared to 3 cedis last year, depending on the quality, while a 5-kilo bag of perfume rice is selling at 27 cedis as compared to 20 cedis last year.
From our interactions with market queens and traders, it's very clear that the prices of maize, plantain and yam have shot up, very much so that even consumers are not just complaining, but of course distancing themselves from patronizing these very staple. We shall be getting updates from other markets as we gauge the price analysis, especially as we enter into the second month of 2018. I'm Charles Aita reporting here from the Kaneshi market in Accra.
So yes, that's business. Emmanuel is still here with me. Emmanuel, we do know that the graphic business in partnership with Stanbic Bank is holding the graphic business Stanbic Bank business breakfast meeting. And it will be themed Deposit Insurance, a catalyst for stronger banking industry. Well, Joy News and Joy Business are media partners for the event, which comes off at the Labadi Beach Hotel in Accra next week, Tuesday, February 6th. 2018, and it turns out we have some heavyweight speakers on the day. So, Ima, who are those that we're expected to speak at the event?
It's one of the enviable business events on the calendar, and of course, this particular event would see very kingpins of the financial sector. The governor of the central bank will be there live to talk about the topic that you mentioned, and also we're expecting a banking consultant or banking analyst in the person of Nana Utu Echampong. We also expect Seth Asante, a partner, Benchi Enchil Lesa and Ankuma, and he's also head of financial institutions and capital markets practice group, is also one of the speakers. So it's just a very, very significant event that all and sundry must go. Okay, and stay tuned to Joy News and Joy Business. We will be bringing you this live. We're taking a short break now, but still ahead, Vice President Alhaji Mahamudu Bawumia, in his first public remarks since he was taken ill, has expressed gratitude to Ghanaians for their support.
I'm so grateful to all Ghanaians, all walks of life, all religions, for the prayers that they have done on my behalf when I took a medical leave.
Now, Vice President Dr. Alhaji Mahamudu Bawumia has made his very first public comments since he was taken ill 2 weeks ago. Addressing Muslim worshippers on Friday at the Abosokai Central Mosque, Dr. Bawumia expressed appreciation for the outpouring of affection by all Ghanaians whilst he was away on medical leave in the UK. Joining us, Latif Idris joined the hundreds who worshipped alongside the Vice President, and here's his report.
The Vice President today, Friday, is here at the Abosokan Central Mosque after 12 days of seeking medical leave in the United Kingdom following his doctor's advice. Now, the Vice President, who is speaking for the first time after the return from the United Kingdom, nailed it straight on the head and said that we usually take our health for granted, but it is when you are tested by ill health that you come to appreciate the essence of good health.
I'm so grateful to all Ghanaians, all walks of life, all religions, churches and mosques, for the prayers that they have done on my behalf when I took a medical leave. I'm so thankful and grateful for their prayers, and I'm happy that I have come back, inshallah, in good health, ready to continue work. When you go around, you take your health for granted, but it is when you don't feel well that you appreciate what God has actually given you. And when God gives you good health, you really have to appreciate it and look after your health. And I'm most grateful for that, because as I was just saying in Hausa, good health is better than riches. I want to thank the President and the government for what they have done and continue to do to support me. But I don't want to forget my lovely wife, Samira, who has been by my side throughout these last 2 weeks. Thank the doctors and the nurses and the medical staff for all that they have done.
We have people from all walks of life gathered here in their numbers, particularly the Muslim population in the country who usually worship here at the Abosokan Central Mosque, have also gathered here in their numbers today just to catch a glimpse of the Vice President. We must also add that the Vice President, as we speak, is now acting President, considering the fact that the President is out of town, far away in Senegal for the Global Forum on Education. He was invited by the Presidents of France, Emmanuel Macron, and Macky Sall of Senegal. Some views of Muslim brothers and sisters who gathered here in their numbers to pray with the Vice President.
Everything I've seen, I didn't notice any handicap in his movement there.
You think he's even come back refreshed?
Inshallah, more than before. More than before, yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. Thank God we have seen our father, our brother, our uncle, the Vice President of the Republic of Ghana, Alhaji Dr. Al-Mamoun Bawumia. We've seen him with good health, and we thank Allah for it.
And we say welcome home, Dr. Bawumia. We're taking a short break. Now, the Managing Director of Intercity STC says the company in the coming days will revamp its training facility to boost the capacity of drivers in a bid to reduce road accidents in the country. Nana Komia says the project will include equipping the company with new vehicles, simulators, among others. In January 2018 alone, there have been over 20 deaths recorded through road accidents with several injuries. But the MD says the STC's record of one accident in 2017, which claimed 2 lives, can reduce even further with the private sector collaboration to revamp the company. He's been speaking exclusively to Gifty Andor-Pierre.
So must mention that we normally have police escorts in our buses, especially the ones that travel long distance and the ones that travel in the night. There's usually a police escort. Armed police escort is a collaboration that we have with the Ghana police. Also in our new buses, the front glasses are bulletproof to afford the driver another degree of safety and so on. As for enforcing the regulation. We cannot be the enforcement agency. The overspeeding and unsafe driving is the duty of the police to enforce the law. So the law on overspeeding, the law on safe driving are the duty of the police. There's a provision that public sector drivers should be trained by STC. But to be able to enforce that provision, we need to revamp our training. And I had mentioned to you earlier that we are engaging the private sector. We've got about 2 or 3 proposals of private people wanting to come in and do a PPP with us, or a BOT with us. And the proposals are really exciting. They are going to bring in very modern equipment, particularly simulators, for all categories of driving. But then when we finish that, then we can have the regulatory authorities enforce the provision that public sector drivers should be trained by STC, same as they are required to do for the vehicle valuation. Even the valuation department, we've invited private sector to come in. They're going to bring in sophisticated equipment so that the human factor is reduced in valuation of vehicles. Then we can take on more valuation work.
Nana Kobian has also been outlining some of the safety measures instituted by Intercity STC to reduce road accidents.
When it comes to safety, I think STC already has a good record when it comes to safety on the roads and also reliability. Now, our driver training is probably the most rigorous in the country. If you went to our driver training facility, you would see that it's very rigorous. You come here with your F license, which allows you to drive heavy-duty vehicles like buses and trucks. And then we also let you go to 6 months of training, rigorous training at our own driving school, even after your F license. We take you all through the country, so you'll be familiar with all kinds of road terrains. Going forward, we are engaging the private sector to revamp the training school. They are bringing in simulators that can simulate driving conditions in a small car, a small truck, a 4-wheel drive, light buses, heavy-duty buses. The private sector is bringing in all that tools to enhance and make our driving school the best in West Africa. Of course, the drivers undergo refresher training. It's part of the requirements. Every 6 months, every driver goes to refresher training to know latest trends in road safety and safe driving and so on. We bring in external people and so on. But in the buses themselves, we have cameras, one in front, one at the back, one inside the bus itself. That gives us a picture of everything that is happening on the buses. Theft cases are easily solved because the cameras record everything. There's onboard computers which monitor the driver behavior. If the driver is not driving to ideal conditions, all is recorded and you can retrieve. If there was hard braking, will show that the driver was not attentive enough. It's all recorded on the onboard system.
Now, Northern Region Minister Salifu Said has disclosed government will soon construct a bridge on the Daboya River in the Northern Gonja district to link travelers from the northern sector to the southern part of the country. This new bridge will complement other bridges to be reconstructed at Buipe and Yape in the northern region. The Ghana Highway Authority Thursday announced the closure of the 2 bridges for the second time in less than 3 months. Hashmi Mohammed has more.
The Ghana Highway Authority, in a statement issued, stated the closure of the 2 bridges is to enable the authority carry out asphalting works. This is the second time in 3 months that the Buipe and Yape bridges in the northern region have been closed. Last year, it was closed down on 3 occasions for similar works, leaving commuters who used that route with no alternative route. Many commuters were stranded waiting long hours to cross the bridge. Some passengers were compelled to continue the rest of their journey on foot across the bridge and board another vehicle on the other end of the bridge. Northern Regional Minister Salifu Said, who is also the chairman of the Regional Security Council, tells Joy News the closure has become necessary for repair works on the bridges, considering how weak the two bridges are for passenger safety. He has made provision in this year's budget to construct a bridge through the Daboya River to divert traffic to that area in order for permanent reconstruction works of the Buipe and Yape bridges to commence.
The two bridges has outlived its usefulness. They were so weak to such a point that we needed to do something because these bridges were becoming security threat. But when it got to, because they were constructed at the same time, the problems were the same. But we didn't have alternative routes. I made a proposal that they should work on the Daboya Bridge so that it will serve as an alternative. So those bridges are captured, and God's willing this year, the Daboya Bridge as well as the Yape Bupe, they are going to also be awarded. And they will fast track them, and I bet you when this thing is done, it will enhance the security of our people in this part of the country, and business people and investors can comfortably come and invest.
Now, managers of private health facilities say they will soon fold up if government fails to pay health insurance claims owed for more than a year. The National Health Insurance Authority cleared only the first 4 months of last year's debt, leaving claims from May till date unsettled. The managers of the health facilities say they are cash-strapped and are unable to render proper services to patients, besides facing threats of legal action from suppliers and creditors. Joining us, Eastern Region correspondent Edwin Kofisiao visited some of these facilities within the Eastern Region and has come through with this report.
While government claims it has settled a chunk of the health insurance debt to service providers, private health service providers reveal contrary situation. They indicate many of them are going through difficulty because government has failed to settle 4 months arrears for 2016 and 9 months for last year. Besides, utility service providers chasing and prosecuting them for non-payment of bills, the situation has compelled them to lay off some of its workers. Chief Executive of St. Luke's Hospital at Asamankase, Samuel Boachidonko, says he can no longer bear the stress.
We all know that when you have money to pay salaries, you calculate the SNET of that person you are paying and then go and pay to the government. This is the case, 10 months you haven't paid your workers. So we have not been able to pay the SNET. SNET people always, this is the 4th time I've been to court on SNET issues, that we should come and pay SNET. Meanwhile, the same government who's owing you, that same government is taking you to court. What kind of life is this? You see, they are putting us into a situation where we can't bear it. You see, ECG will also come, disconnecting you, begging all the time. Then even today as I'm talking to you, they have come here to disconnect us because we are owing them. So we are begging that we don't want to close down all private clinics and then hospitals in the nation. In fact, that will disturb the nation a lot. So we beg that if the government will not even pay the government facilities, we the private, you should pay us. But we pay workers and we pay that same government too.
The plight of service providers is compounded by drastic reduction in outpatient department attendance. They attribute it to government decision to supply drugs and consumables to only government hospitals and clinics at the expense of private facilities. Patrick Afotu owns St. Patrick's Hospital.
So that clients have not been coming at all, because when they come, you have to write.
You mean OPD attendants?
The OPD attendants. When you come and they come, they don't get any drugs because there's no drugs. So we prescribe for them to go and buy. So that because of that, they have not been coming. Yeah. They go to government hospital because the government is now supplying drugs to the government clinic free. That means they always have drugs. That way they perform. When you go there, you will get drugs. But here, when you come, you will not get, because I buy the drugs myself, pay my workers too as a whole.
The only way for most of these private health facilities to keep going is for the Health Insurance Authority to urgently settle its indebtedness to them. Kofi Sian reporting for Joy News.
Now, former First Lady Dora Fulera Liman is unhappy that the sacrifices her husband made for the development of the country have been suppressed. But she says she's not bitter about the treatment meted out to her husband. She was speaking with Joy News Current Affairs show host Nana Ansakwao.
Yes, it was suppressed. They try as much as possible. Because I remember when Adam Mensah was launching his biography on him. He was saying that she was looking for materials on him he could not find. They destroyed everything. I've learned to know that why should I poison myself by becoming bitter? Yes, what the thing has happened.
Have you met Jerry John Rawlings?
No, at all.
Not bumped in a party or a church or something?
No.
Deliberate or
it
just
is only the
happened?
wife, but not him.
Oh, okay.
Even just recently at one of our wedding, we met there.
Did you say hello?
Of course, yes. I said hello. Yes, I don't want to harbor any, at my age, I don't want to harbor any bitterness against anyone.
If you had met Rawlings there, would you?
Oh, I'll greet him. I will greet him. The only thing that posterities have shown the difference, as my children were saying, things that they have accused Liman for not doing, have they been done? That's what they're saying. Hospitals are grievous. Now, hospitals are not hotels. They are still the same or even worse off.
So you can catch the full interview on Personality Profile. That's right after the news bulletin at 9 p.m. Stay tuned.
This is Joy News Prime.
In our headlines, 5 suspects involved in attack on Upper West Region NADMO office arraigned before court. Also, the minority in Parliament has meanwhile described as unconstitutional the President's suspension of the Upper West Regional Minister, who was said to have initially ordered the release of the suspects. The Speaker has, however, dismissed their concerns. Also in Parliament, the tale of 2 reports on the Cash for Seed saga, as minority MPs on the committee that probe the matter present a dissenting view, indicting the Trade Ministry and organizers of the Expatriate Business Awards. In business, economists calls for full overhaul of mining regulatory agencies as government prepares to lift the ban on small-scale mining. And Vice President Alhaji Muhammadu Bawumia, in his first public remarks since he was taken ill, has expressed gratitude to Ghanaians for their support.